Hello, everyone, and welcome to another super cool radio interview. I'm your host, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm very excited because I got a great guest who's a good friend of the podcast joining me at this time. This year, the Midnight Devils have performed in Australia, Japan, the UK, Norway, and the United States. Plus, they released a new album, So Hard It Hurts. Please welcome the bassist and lead vocalist for the Midnight Devils, Sam Spade.
Matthew Thomas, super cool radio. What is going on, everybody? It's such an honor to be here, hanging out with a great friend. This is really cool, and just reminding me that it's been a year since we've seen each other last. So this is great. I love it.
Well, it's awesome to see you. Yeah, as you said, it's been over a year, which is
over a year.
Crazy to think about because I know I saw you, I think, 2 or 3 times last year. So yeah.
I was just going back in my mind. I'm thinking, okay, we did the Ingve show. That was really cool. Then we did the one in Fort Wayne where I hit you in the eye with the guitar pick.
Yeah, which I don't think I'm going to get hit in the eye of the guitar pick today, hopefully. We'll see. I still have that guitar pick.
Those were great. Those were great shows, and what a fun tour that was. Just kind of cruising through, like doing the U.S. tours. I have fond memories of those shows.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know. I think was that like that was your first time performing in Hobart and Fort Wayne, I want to say.
Yep, absolutely. We haven't done it. We've driven through Indiana like a million times, but haven't done a whole lot of shows, and really like successful shows for that. Like we've done some in Indianapolis that there were just nobody there. But we have so many great friends that going to Indiana is always like a really cool experience for us.
Well, Indiana's the crossroads of America, so
that's right.
But no, for sure, and definitely, I really enjoyed the headlining show outside of my eye. But it was a great time. People showed up, people rocked out. It was fun.
Yeah, that was a really good show at the Pink Building. Remember that?
Yep, the ruin. Yep.
Doing the interview in front of the Pink Building and all the pictures and everything, and getting dressed outside in the parking lot. I remember all that with the opening acts right there. Yeah, what a night it was. And I think Jimmy's friend was there, and then he went out and stayed out all night long and partied. And Indiana did not disappoint. I'll tell you that.
Oh, it rarely disappoints, especially like like Northern Indiana. Like, oh yeah, it's always a fun time.
Yep, the wild people came out for sure.
Definitely. I think I think it was storming that day too, or it started to storm. I think like at the end of the night, I think there was some I remember it was like storming, or there was a thunderstorm warning or something like that. I remember driving through that.
It was like the heavens were celebrating with the Midnight Devils as well.
Yes, I 100%
poetically.
I agree. But well, unfortunately, like the venue where you guys played, unfortunately, they closed or they sold off. Yeah.
Oh, that's a tragedy. I really like that place.
I know, it was so cool, and yeah, obviously the Pink Building looks so cool. Just the atmosphere inside, it was fun.
Yeah, and the owner was really nice, and I thought she was doing some good stuff that was pushing towards having a cool venue there in Fort Wayne, another cool venue, and tragically, I mean, but running a bar is difficult. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. But now I do want to discuss, before we get more into the tour, I got to discuss the new album you guys released, which was So Hard It Hurts. So, like, how was it writing and recording this album?
Very cool story. We went into this, I think we came out, I almost got to remember back now, we came out of a tour. I think it was the UK or the European tour with Pretty Boy Floyd, and we just got home from that, and it was like our winter break. We always kind of take the winter off, and we thought, like, well, this is the perfect time. We got to get these songs nailed out. Like, we got a little bit of time, and so we had already prepared a whole bunch of tunes going into the tour. We started playing some of the songs in the tour, and then after it ended, we're like, all right, this is the perfect time. We got all these songs. Let's go down, and we enlisted the help of this amazing production team in the form of Rick Browdy, who produced the first Poison record, Look What the Cat Dragged In. He produced Double Live Gonzo, all these amazing records. And we talked to him, and he wanted to do our album. And it was like this thing where he's got these gold records on the wall, and it was awesome, And we had him, Cher Ross, Bam Ross, Cher's from Vixen. We had Bam from Dogs D'Amour, all these amazing people. And we flew down to Florida, and we presented them with these songs. They never knew us. they didn't know us from Adam, and we became friends and became family. And that's really how the beginning of this record came along.
All right. And so how was like when did you first meet the people you worked with? Like how'd you make that connection?
We met through, so our tour manager in Italy, his name's Fabio, and he had this band, and he goes, I love the Midnight Devils. I love what you guys are doing. You guys don't have the songs yet. And it like hit me. And I'm like, okay, he can see it. Obviously he sees it, so everybody else sees it. We need to really put the pressure down on ourselves to write great songs and to capture what we can do live, but try and capture it on tape. And so Fabio's like, I got this guy, Rick Browdy. I never heard of him before until I turn over, Double Live Gonzo, and I see his name right there. I'm like, okay, we got somebody here. And Rick came out of retirement to do this record. And so it's really this big deal of him making like this rock and roll royalty. And I don't mean to give him a big head, but that's what he is. Like he is that guy that did the first Poison record. He came out of retirement to do the Midnight Devils. He was excited. I'm like, this guy knows what rock and roll. He knows great songs. And we just put it all together down there in Florida. And it was a really cool thing. Like they had us do acoustic versions of the songs to demo the songs out. So there's like acoustic So Hard It Hurts album floating around somewhere. And we went in there and he broke us all down and he's like, all right, we're going to rewrite the lyrics. We're going to streamline everything and just make this a great, great rock and roll record. And I was like, that's so cool. We were just in awe, being around like people of that caliber. You don't want to mess up and you don't want to come off as stupid or like you don't know what you're doing. So we really focused and wrote these great songs and performed them all live, like sitting there, three guys in the studio in Florida, and it came out. And I think you can definitely tell it's the continuation of where Never Beg For It left off.
That whole experience sounds amazing. And so, like, was it different, like, writing and recording So Hard It Hurts compared to the last two albums?
Yes, absolutely. So Hard It Hurts was done much more in the vein of the way we wanted to do it. And that's like, you go down there and you get in the studio and you just knock the whole thing out and you have no other worries, no other cares. Like, you're there to create this magic. Where I think Never Beg For It, it was COVID time. So we were kind of doing Never Beg For It. We would have to drive to Chicago and back and do it in these little spurts, and we didn't have as much hands-on as we would have liked because you were kind of limited from the distance, and distance and COVID and everything like that, where this one was like fresh, brand new songs. So none of these songs we had sitting around, all the songs were there and we wrote them over the year of touring. And so they all kind of came about because of what happened to us, what we saw on the road, what we experienced, the parties that we were at, the shows that we were at, the people that we met. It was all from, the shows that we were on, that you and I went to together. That's where the buds of those songs came from.
Oh, definitely. And I can like really hear that listening to the album that has the kind of a party atmosphere.
Yeah.
And definitely just more so straight up rock and roll. Mm-hmm. I very much enjoy like the album. And again, as you said, it kind of builds off, kind of the previous album. Mm-hmm. And I think you guys just keep, I think you guys just keep like stepping it up with each album.
And I think that's what it is. And I was telling somebody this. So it's like, I don't think with the Midnight Devils, we do things the way we want to do things. And I don't think that we're going to have like this massive overnight success. What we're doing is we're just chipping it down. Like, we're just going to keep going. And it's just this bulldozer, this powerful bulldozer that just keeps driving no matter what. And it's like, we're just going to be next thing ingrained in people's psyche, as the Midnight Devils have been around forever. And they just keep releasing albums under all this, all these circumstances. No matter what happens, they're like a clock and it just keeps going.
Oh, definitely. You guys grind just so much, with the touring, with the music, with the merch, with everything. You guys are just grinding nonstop.
Yeah, I think that's how it has to be. And it's like what I love, what the guys love. It's what we do. And it's like, it's all I can think about day in, day out, to the chagrin of Carrie and my family. It's like, we're all in on this rock and roll thing. And it's not even rock and roll, it's music just in general. It's just every single day. We work at the strip club at night, which is playing music and putting on a show. And we're just, this music is so ingrained in us that it's like, it's all I ever think about. And it's just, but that's not a bad thing. It's like, I got to be creative. I got all this stuff in my head that I got to get out into the world.
Oh, definitely. And just, obviously seeing you guys live and just, chatting and talking with you guys are all passionate about music, which, and it shows like in the albums, in your live performance, it shows in like every aspect.
I think passionate about the music and passionate about having a good time. And I really think that's what we do best, is that we don't take it so seriously. And now we're there to have a good time and there to have fun. Every single show, every single night is about making the most of it and coming away with a story and a smile and making people around us laugh. And that's what this whole thing is about, is building something that is bigger than all of us, but that encompasses everybody. And so it's like, it's not just the three guys in the band, it's everybody else, this magical messed up family that we have. We're all along for the ride as well. So it's like, you think about it in different terms. Like, it's not just the three of us cruising around, but we're taking everybody else with us.
Oh, definitely. And I know I've been a part of one of your guys' show where I helped throw balloons out in the crowd.
Yeah.
So, which I definitely didn't mess up the first time, and definitely they did not get stuck in the bag the first time.
I mean, it's like everything, even that, like those Ingve shows, like I can go back to that time and place and think like how ridiculous it was, how the stage was completely covered in equipment that we had to work around while we played our live set, and just how the people went ballistic, and it just, everything about that night I can almost remember, and it's so cool because those little snippets, like, you take away and you'll never forget.
Oh no, for sure. And my favorite part was they had all the chairs like lined up for that show, and then you come into the crowd, and people loved it too. People were having such a good time with that.
They were throwing the chairs around, but before they even came on the stage, it was great.
Oh no, it was just so much fun with everything. And it was so cool, especially that was a cool venue. The Ruin was a cool venue as well. So like it was just so cool, and the sound, like both those venues you guys played at sounded awesome.
Yeah, Hobart, what a cool theater. I love playing those theater shows. Those are my favorite. Absolute, like playing old school theaters like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was I think it used to be old school movie theater, I think, or something like that.
Those are always my favorite to play.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just just the whole aesthetic of them too, like they look awesome.
I think the one we played in Indianapolis was an old porn theater for a long time, which I
thought was the Irving Theater.
What's that? Irving
Theater.
Yep. Cool. Well, what a cool venue. And then when we got talking to the guy, the story was even better. And then he took us up into like the projectionist room, and I'm like, all right, this is creepy and weird and cool, and I love it.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah, I went there, I think in 2021. I saw Wild Street there. That's the only time I've been there, but it was a cool spot though.
Yeah, very cool.
So like I'm curious, so we're talking about venues, and I'm going to transition back here in a minute, but like what's been like some of the coolest venues you've had the opportunity to perform at?
Being in Japan, I thought was one of the real eye openers. We did 3 weeks in Australia, and we played a ton of shows in Australia. We did like the big ending show of the tour was this big afternoon Sunday show. So we're playing at like 1 p.m. You had to get up at 11, do your makeup and everything, and get up on stage at 1. But there was like 300 people there, right? 300 people at 1 p.m. in the afternoon going crazy, ballistic, getting drunk. We played the show, and we had 10 minutes to sit at the merch table, and we walk off stage. They take us to the airport. We fly to Singapore, then fly to Japan. And next thing you know, like we got a show that night. And so with Japan, we didn't know. We were very green, it still are. You didn't know what the venues are like, but playing in Japan, the venues are all pretty small, but they have like these little green rooms and these little areas. So we play like, it's just so cool how they're laid out, because nobody drives their car. You like ride on the train to every venue. So we're lugging all our gear in Japan, just completely shattered. Like we'd played a show in Australia. Now we crossed the equator. Now we're in Japan. We got to play this show. And they had these venues that were like 50 to 80 people. They're all really small, but they would pack like 4 bands in there. And there was one that was up, like you go up the subway stairs, and it was halfway up the subway stairs, and you open up this random door, and you're like, boom, there's a music venue right there. You're like, what is this? This is insane. And they pack all these bands in there, and it'd be super loud, and everybody would be smoking cigarettes. And you're like, this is pretty cool. Like, and the shows would be done by 11 because everybody had to catch the train home. You know, so it's these really cool places in Japan where you're just like, I always knew that we would be there. I always dreamed about it, but then actually doing it, you're like, this is magic, and you never want it to end. You just keep playing and just keep going, and that was the cool thing about Japan, is that we did 8 shows over 10 days, and it just was like a nonstop. We would kind of move around the country and just keep playing, and the band was so well received from the Japanese people that it was just like, it was a really cool experience, is what I have to say. Like, it made it for us.
That sounds incredible. And just so the music venues, like where they had them, like that just sounds so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy because you wouldn't think it'll just be like this little door, and then there's this venue, and you're like, oh, how many people are going to come to this? Like, it's Tuesday night, and then you can walk out of the dressing room, and there's like 50 people there, and they're all ready to party, and they're all ready to have a good time. And it's different because they're not getting drunk. You know, they're like there for the music, and they'll stay from the beginning to the end. They don't ever leave. And I think it's that respect for the music and respect for the show that is so cool. And you hear it when you listen to, like, say, Live at Budokan, all these great live albums. You listen to it, but then when you get to experience it, you're like, that's different. That's a whole different level of awesome.
Oh, it truly sounds like it was such a fantastic time in Japan. So I'm curious, going back a little bit. So you played in Australia at 1 p.m. and then that night you played in Japan?
Yeah, it was like there was no break. So we were doing like 9 shows in a row, and we flew all the way over. And just to get our feet wet, our tour manager booked this show in Japan that was the venue was run by 2 American dudes. So it kind of like, we didn't have time to really even think and to be weirded out or like to be culture shocked. We were right in the middle of playing shows. And then it's like, people don't know, they don't speak English. So you're like, how do you communicate with all these people that don't speak English? And it's just like, a lot of it is the way you're dressed. And they're like, you can see rockers on the streets and be like, all right, I know these guys are rockers. We got to get them to the show. And then it worked, and they're at the show and people are going crazy. We're like, wow, like, welcome to Japan. This is it, man. Like, this is what we dreamed of.
Oh yeah, for sure. So how was it like, building that connection with the people of Japan and the crowds at the shows?
It was really cool because they love rock and roll just as much as we do. They love the style of music. They love the shows, the pageantry, everything that goes around with it. And being an American in Japan playing rock and roll, you're kind of looked on to deliver the goods, right? You got to come in there and give them that. And with the Midnight Devils, we do that. And I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to do that. But then you start making that personal connection. Like you said, we start meeting the people, and we met like people that I consider family now. And just over that short period of time, we're becoming best friends, and they don't speak as much English. So it's like this kind of unspoken thing where you kind of communicate with them through your music, and they're there for the music. And it's such a cool experience, because as Western culture, we don't think of that. So going over, we bring that over to them, and they're ready for American rock and roll because they don't get it as much over there. So it's a really cool thing. And like, I held it up, like I put a lot of pressure on myself to live up to that expectation.
Well, it sounds like you guys did, and sounds like it was an amazing time. I saw some videos and photos from Japan and the other tours as well. But I'm curious for you, like, what was like your favorite cultural aspect of Japan?
I really loved that the excitement. So this is kind of hard to explain. This is a great question. You're making me dig deep here. I appreciate this. So if you can't communicate as a frontman, you can't communicate with an audience because they don't speak English. Where if you've seen the Midnight Devils, we're such a but a crowd interaction band, where the show doesn't really have the same effect if the crowd's not into it. So my big hurdle to overcome was, how do I get a crowd that doesn't speak English to react to me speaking or our songs? So I was like, man, this is tough. The first couple shows, they come out and you can see that they're very quiet and reserved. And I'm like, man, I got to break this down. So you just keep encouraging them, and kind of with the inflection of your voice, you go up and you'd be really excited. Like and then so I go, on the count of 3, I want everybody to scream. So I learned how to count to 3 in Japanese. Ich, ni, san. And then you go like this, and everybody'd scream, but it'd take a little bit. Each knee, son, each knee. And so I could get the audience to kind of come out of their shell. And so when I look out, they would start copying every hand gesture that I did. And so you could do these big hand things as a front man to get your audience going. But the Japanese were so great at copying it and mimicking it and returning that love back to me on stage that like we would break down the wall, even though we didn't speak the same language. I thought that was the coolest thing. So by the end of the tour, I've posted pictures of this a million times, but they handed us like our official Japanese like kimonos, but they're like traditional festival shirts. And I thought that was like the moment that it all kind of came together and like made sense to me. Like, we've done it. We've been in Japan. We've played these shows. People appreciate it and know what we're doing. Here's this shirt, exactly like Kiss did in 1978 or 79. You know, that's what I thought in my head. Like, all right, this is cool. Like, we've done what we came to do.
Wow, that's incredible. That, you know, and especially in a short like time span, you guys weren't there for too long, and to have that kind of reception at the end of it, that's incredible to hear.
Yeah, it's just, and so a Japanese audience is always reserved, and you hear that. So how do you get them to lose their mind? That was always the key. Like, can I break that down and make them lose their mind?
So do you think performing in Japan has made you a better frontman?
Absolutely. I 100% think it has. It like brought a new dimension to how I think about it and interact with people. And if they can't quite understand, so it's like anybody can play to an audience that speaks English. What do you do with an audience that doesn't speak English? That's the tough part.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, I'm also kind of curious because you guys also toured Norway, had some shows in Norway. So like, how was the reception in Norway?
And same type of situation. I'm so glad, because I was gonna bring this up, and you jumped right in. It's like you're reading my mind here, Matthew. I appreciate that. So we come out, and in Norway, it's our second time being at this festival. So we kind of knew some people, and everybody knew who we were going in. And they're really like another one where I put a lot of pressure on myself, because we were like the one American band waving the flag, like, don't mess this up. So we come out there, first song in, second song in, we just destroy, like, perfect. And I stepped back from the microphone, and the whole entire crowd started singing the American national anthem. Like, they started singing like, the whole crowd was singing it, and we didn't say anything. We just stood back and just like our jaws hit the ground, you know. So it was like one of those moments that I wish would have got on camera, but I'll never forget it, and I'll tell that story as long as I live. It was that good, and we weren't even the headliners. That's the cool thing.
Another just incredible moment for you guys to have that kind of crowd response, and again in a different country, you guys are, you know, for you guys, that is just incredible. I don't know how much to add to that, because that's just so cool to hear.
Like 1,000 miles away from Russia, from Moscow. You're 1,000 miles from Moscow, and there was 1,000, and I would say probably 700 people singing the USA national anthem back at us. Just crazy.
Wow, that's definitely an unforgettable moment for you guys, and it's just so cool to hear. Just, you know, for me, just the reception you guys get, because I know how much hard work you guys put into everything, and to get that kind of reception in a different country is just so cool.
It's amazing, and it makes all the stuff that goes on in my head, like the stress and anxiety and the pressure, like, oh, that's worth it right there. No matter what else happens in the rest of the year, that's worth it.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. But I do, like, I know we had quite a bit to, you know, I also got a few other things I did want to talk about too. But I'm glad you guys, again, from how much work you guys have been, you know, all since you guys have started, you guys have been constantly working and grinding, as I mentioned earlier in the interview. And again, just to see all that is just so cool. But I do got one question I did want to ask though, like, so when are you planning to return to like Japan and like Norway? Like, do you have plans to return to these countries?
Yeah, that's the plan that we're working on right now, is what comes next. Okay, we've done all this. We got the album out. What happens in 2025? And that's like the big question on everybody's mind. Like, are we going to do a USA tour? Are we going to go back to Australia? Are we going to go back? But that's the plan, is that from now until this band dissolves, which I don't think will ever happen, you know, in some form or another. I think our goal is to just make that a yearly thing, is like, hey, we're going to come back and see our friends in Australia and Japan, in the UK and Europe. We're just going to do this every year and try and party with as many of our friends as we can all year long. I just think that's the way to do it. And it's kind of goes back to what I said earlier in the interview. It's like, it's not going to be an overnight success. We're just going to keep going and keep doing this grind. But it's not really a grind to us. It's fun, and it's what we love to do. And the Midnight Devils are such a road band and such a band that just needs to play live, that it's like, we just, if we could be on tour forever, we would. And it's really that simple. You know, we need time to recover and recharge, and the creative, it needs time to kind of cultivate, but we want to be back on the road and be back to all these places as soon as we possibly can.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys just have a world party tour, you know, like America, the UK, Norway, Japan, Australia, everywhere.
And just keep going and just do it every year and be like, well, this was great, and I will see you next year, like clockwork.
Oh yeah, especially because you guys have been, you know, building up that, you know, that fan base in Japan, Australia, Norway, UK, US, like everywhere you guys go, you're just like growing and growing, and, you know, people want to come back. Like, obviously I want to see you guys live again at some point. So it's just so cool that you guys, you know, deliver great shows, and then people want to see you live again.
And I think it's a difference. It's a difference that we have a blast doing this. We have so much fun being in the Midnight Devils that it shows to the crowd, and the crowd has so much fun at the parties that we throw, or the parties that we're invited to. There's not a lot of bands that kind of bring that kind of fun anymore. And so to have bands that do that, I think people look forward to it, you know, so much more, and to build that relationship, that family, as much as a messed up family as it is, that's what it's there. And you know, like when the Midnight Devils come to town and we go to their show, something ridiculous is going to happen. There's going to be some story that we're going to be talking about for years later.
Oh yeah, 100% agree with that. And
breaking eyeballs, Yngwie on stage, you know, it's.
Oh yeah, no, I know I have stories already, and I've only been to 2 live shows from you guys, so I'm gonna have plenty more. I'm sure. But I'm curious. So for like you, do you approach like touring and performing differently than writing and recording music?
Yes, I do, because I really think there's 2 sides of my brain, and I kind of feel like sometimes I have to shut off one or two, but it makes me better at each individual thing. So like when we're writing and recording, I'm really in that creative mode, and I really got to think about that. Like, what are my words? What am I trying to convey? What's the story that we're trying to tell? And then once that story is there, now I have to perform the story, and we go up on stage, and I personally go into touring and performing live almost like a professional athlete. So I'll train over and over and over and over again, and practice and do all these things I need to do, so that when we're standing on stage in front of 1,000 people, I don't have to think about it in the back of my mind, like maybe I'm gonna mess up, or maybe I'm not prepared. That never enters my mind, you know. Like, I'm prepared. I can do this in my sleep. We've done 1 million shows. It doesn't matter how big the crowd is. Like, we can go out there and deliver every night of the week, no problem. Whereas creating is a different thing, and I think like we have to take, and especially as a lyric writer, I have to take those stories and those kind of moments that we witness and that we're a part of, and log them down, write them, and then kind of revisit them and build that story of what's going to happen, and like where are we going to go next? We've built these characters with the Midnight Devils. Where do they go, and what do they do, and how do we incorporate all that into this big touring world thing that we got going on? So yeah, it's 2 different things, but I really think on the creative aspect, you can tap into that in your mind, and then like if you start building it, it's like that muscle. And you just start building it, and it'll just keep going and creating it. And so I've started carrying like a book around, where I just start writing anything that I see, any thought that I have in my mind. I'll draw pictures of stuff that I see, and I think that I can go back and kind of look on that stuff for inspiration.
Oh no, for sure. I've kind of been doing something similar with that, because like I have ideas about everything, and like, you know, to me, if I don't write it down, I'm gonna forget it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I've been doing something similar with that, just because you never know when inspiration is going to strike, especially if you've been thinking about something for a while and then it starts to finally click.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't tell you how many dumb ideas that I've had that I wrote down that turned into this big thing, like they turned into like the name of the album or all this stuff that people talk about just off of dumb ideas that Jimmy and I, or wherever, sitting around smoking a joint, and we come up with something stupid. I write it down. Next thing you know, it's like, okay, now we're touring because of this idea that we had.
Oh, yeah, that's why, like, with ideas, you never really know, like, what's going to be a good idea, like, what's, and some ideas do get thrown away, just how it is, but, like, you never really know until you're like, oh, like, hey, actually, that's actually not a dumb idea at all.
Right. So, and I'll even tell you this, last night, no, I can't tell it. I got to marinate. I had a good story, but I got to marinate on this idea.
Maybe after the interview.
Strip club from last night.
All right, well, but I do got some. Speaking of the strip club, though, so you guys filmed "Get Laid."
Yeah.
So like, how was that? Because it looked like a blast.
It was the coolest thing ever, and I'll tell you that, like, the strip club. I don't know, for people that are listening, for anybody else out there, the strip club is a unique place because it's like there's girls there. There's tons of girls there, and everybody's wanting to party, but everybody acts so cool because they don't want to look stupid in front of girls. So it's really hard. Like, it's not like a rock show where people are just destined to have a good time. You really got to coax them out of their shell to have fun. And so we thought, like, Saturday night, let's stop the strip club show in the middle of the busiest part of the night, throw our gear up on stage and do this song and see what happens and see how it works. Like, it's this built-in audience. And we did it, and it was the most fun I've ever had doing a video. Like, the ideas were there. My cousin, who is the Pink Bastard, he's the, like, our mascot. He is such a great performer and so good on camera. That's like, you just kind of got to push him in the right direction, and he can pull off all this stuff. But he's a 400-pound guy walking around the strip club with his shirt off, completely covered in pink. Like, it's such, and so we got gangsters there, we got old guys there, we got young people. It's what a world that we put into this video, just to kind of capture this moment. And everything was done live. We did the song 3 times in a row, and that was it. And so everything that was filmed, we did live, and I thought it turned out so cool. Everybody had a blast, and now what it's done is it's crossed over. And so people that wouldn't listen to the Midnight Devils or listen to Get Laid, they were a part of the video. Now they're a part of the song. Now it's like their song.
Oh, it's so cool because obviously the music video looks awesome. So that was done, as you said, during peak time. So like, those are just like patrons at the strip club?
Yeah. So what we did is we enlisted, like, we put it out to our fans that, like, hey, we're going to shoot this video. Show up if you want to. And then we told everybody at the strip club, and like for weeks leading up, like, hey, the video is going to be here. And then so the girls got all scheduled on, and they wanted to be a part of the video. And then the fans came, and then the patrons were there as well. So that's the coolest thing is like the whole club was involved in the shoot.
Oh, that is so cool. And again, like, as a point that you were saying was that the people who are in it now, like, that's part of their history. That they were part of this really cool music video that I think turned out awesome and matches the whole energy and vibe of Get Laid.
Yeah, and that song wasn't. We had no plans of doing that song, so and we didn't even write that song. We were down in Florida, and we did the whole album, recorded it. And our producer's like, I don't really hear a single yet. Would you guys mind doing the song I wrote called Get Laid? And I was like, it's like, I don't know if it's quite my speed because I didn't write it. My ego talking. Like, I don't want to record somebody else's song. And we talked about it. We deliberated on it. We're like, let's give it a try. And then I was like, this is perfect. Like, it's so good. The lyrics are so good. And it doesn't lean one way or the other to be offensive to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like that part of the lyrics, I'm just like, this is so great. And so we've transitioned it into our live show now, where people, they were singing the song before we even had it ready to go as a live song, right? They knew it. They were like, let's do this. And we got to get the song live. And so now there's a break in the song where we split the crowd in half, and each half sings Gonna Get Laid Tonight. And it's this back and forth between the two halves of the crowd. and it's cheesy and it's brilliant, and the whole place just lights up and smiles. It's so cool. Brilliant. So
Well,
our producer Rick wrote it. Yeah, he was the guy that actually wrote the song, and he's like, I think this is great for you guys.
I like the backstory with that. So like, but you guys are was there other recorded versions of it, or was it just oh really?
There was an Italian band. So I believe our producer, so Rick also produced Fabio. So this is like super confusing. Rick produced Fabio. Fabio was our Italian tour manager. He was in a band called I think it's called Bassist, and they recorded the original version of that. And Rick was like, let's try it with the Midnight Devils and see if we can get some traction with the song. So the first singles Get Laid. Instead of doing a cover song, we did that song. And I think the next single that's coming out will be another one of the tracks, Shock the World or Left Wing, and will be the next single and video coming out.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Get Laid is my favorite off the album. Like, I mean, the whole album I very much enjoy, but yeah, definitely Get Laid just has that whole just vibe to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, I also actually one more thing, and I will close this out here pretty soon. But there? I've heard there's a Japanese version of "So Hard It Hurts." Is that correct?
Yeah. So what we did it's another really cool thing. Like the universe tells you things, and things happen for a reason. So going in back to say June of 2024, we didn't have a label yet to release this record, and we're like, man, what do we do? Do we release it ourselves? Do we need a label? We ended up signing with MR Records out of Australia, and MR Records they released the album. So when we touched down in Australia, they had So Hard It Hurts in our hands, right? The CD. I'm like, perfect. This is so good. These guys they're big Kiss fans, that like great dudes. They understand what we're doing. And it's the only label that was really willing to take a chance on the Midnight Devils. And I eternally grateful and thankful. But they go, let's do a Japanese edition of So Hard It Hurts with a bonus track. So there's one, I think we pressed, I can't remember how many we pressed, maybe 100, 200 copies of the Japanese import So Hard It Hurts with the bonus single, Holding On to Fire.
That's so cool to have, like, you know, a label that like believes in you guys and actually like fully supports you guys, because obviously, yeah, anyway, people know labels know, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out, but I'm glad you guys, sounds like you guys have a very good match with the label you signed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're great guys that love music, and we wanted to be with somebody that we could call up any time of the week and just talk and be cool with them and run these ideas, these creative ideas. Like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. They're like, love it, let's do it. Perfect. Okay, you guys are on the same level. Like, let's do this Kiss stuff, like, and just blow it out of the water and make it big and ridiculous. They're like, love it, let's do it. And I would go, perfect. They're our guys.
Oh yeah, definitely sounds like it. And you know, obviously, So Hard It Hurts awesome. You got the Japanese version album release as well, which is so cool. So yeah, no, it sounds like you guys are working very well together.
Yes. And so the next step is like, okay, we're gonna do Get Laid, but we're gonna do a vinyl single of Get Laid with a dance remix on the backside. I think that is our next big project. The artwork is being made right now. We're kind of creating and crafting with a really cool tiny little 7-inch single. I think it's gonna be great.
I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
and
so
like,
it's a 6-minute long dance remix of Get Laid.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yes,
I can tell you that. I really like the other vinyl we had, which I believe was Highway 69, right?
Yep.
Which I got my copy of that. Which I love you guys' artwork. I know we discussed this in previous interviews. You guys' artwork is just awesome.
And that's like a testament to our art designer and our art director, Livy Ulrichs, who does everything. I'll basically kind of sketch down. I'll be like, okay, I have this idea, and I'll stick figure out a drawing, and then next thing you know, like, it's this masterpiece. So awesome job, Livy. She's incredible.
Definitely, 100% agree. But Sam, as we're starting to close this interview out, so I'm curious. You guys had an awesome 2024. I know there's still a few months left, but like, how are you going to top 2024 and 2025?
That's the magic question. I thank you for putting the pressure on me. and I don't know. You know, I really think it's like we did what we came out to do, and our goals were reached. So where do we go from here? Well, I think you set the bar a little bit higher and be like, okay, we're gonna we're going to do this and do this all on our own terms and be our own manager, our own business managers. We're going to be great at business and do these things. All of our songs are logged and everything like that on ASCAP. We've done the responsible thing and got kind of getting our house in order so that we can really blow it out of the water and show the world that, like, you can get your dreams, you can go do this. It's going to take a lot of work, but it's worth it in the end. All the stress and anxiety and pressure that you go through, like, we're going to do this and show everybody, like, we've done it our own way without the help of anybody else.
And I think that's a really big point too. And like, kind of something I think, both of us, like, kind of like at least similar styles, at least, that like I've been kind of doing, my thing for the last 5 years, and I've seen my progress for it. I've been watching you guys, seeing the way you guys progress. It shows like you have to put the work in, but it's going to pay off. Yeah,
absolutely. And you can't get down on yourself. You go like, I can't quit. And this is what we do. Like, we don't stop no matter what, good, bad, ugly. It doesn't matter. Like, we just keep going and keep pushing, because there is light at the end of the tunnel, and the light might not be what we want it to be, but there's something there, and you got to keep going and keep driving and keep going, because I think at the end of the day, you don't want to regret anything. And I think that's the biggest thing. If we wouldn't have taken Japan, if we wouldn't have taken Australia, we would be sitting here regretting it and talking about how we didn't go on the tour.
Well, I think so too. And like, it may seem like either a lot of work or like, a bit of inconvenience to do some things, but at the end of the day, like, it's going to be worth it compared to missing out on it.
Absolutely.
So
some people me, they're like, how much would a vacation to Australia cost you? It was like 10 grand or whatever. Like, you would think of how happy you're going to be. You go do this tour, and the stories that you're going to pull from it are going to be stuff that you're going to be talking about for the rest of your life. And I'm like, that's a really good, it's invaluable. The money doesn't matter. The stories and the experiences that we will carry with us for the rest of our lives, that's what matter.
Oh, exactly. Because like a lot of the stuff, like, monetary stuff, they're temporary, but like memories and experiences that last a lifetime.
Absolutely.
I like how we kind of wrap this interview up. Very nice, positive note with everything. I really like that.
Did you plan that out?
No, but I will say I did. But Sam, thank you so much for stopping by Super Cool Radio. Always a blast chatting with you, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, dude, it's always great seeing you, and I can't wait till we get back and we get to do a couple more shows together. We'll be coming that way this year, though, or in 2025 for sure.
I will be there.
Yes,
I guarantee that. Well, I will leave some links for the Midnight Devils in the description of this podcast. Please check out and support them. See them live any chance you can. It's always a blast hanging out, rocking out with them. But Sam, thank you again for stopping by Super Cool Radio.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew, and thank you for all the years of support. And it's always a pleasure talking to you. It really is.
Of course. Same. Like, I love you guys. I love everything you guys do. The music kicks ass, and I appreciate all the friendship and support as well.
I'll get you a copy of Get Laid, the new single, when it comes out. You're gonna love it. Like, we got half the artwork back, so I got the back cover ready to go, and it's sickening.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited for that. Oh yeah. But as we're closing this out for Sam Spade of the Midnight Devils, I'm your host always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.